Welcome, dear Cancer souls, to Wisdom of Zodiac Signs, where astrology is not just a series of vague predictions but a lens through which we understand the deeper currents of human life. If you have stumbled here today, I assure you it is no coincidence. The universe has a habit of nudging us exactly where we need to be, even if we think we were simply scrolling mindlessly or clicking on one video too many. October 2025 is no ordinary turning of the calendar for you, it is the threshold of a 20-year cycle, a cosmic contract signed in your favor, redefining luck, love, and prosperity in ways you may have only dreamed about. Think of it not as flipping to a new page in your story, but as beginning an entirely new novel, one in which you are no longer a supporting character in someone else's plot but the central figure, the author, the star, and the director, all rolled into one. I know what some of you are thinking. Haven't astrologers been promising big changes since you were in high school? Fair point. But this is different. This isn't the kind of fleeting planetary arrangement that passes after a few months, leaving you wondering if the stars simply ghosted you. This is a genuine pivot point. For 13 long years, many Cancers have felt as if they were strapped into the world's longest emotional roller coaster, complete with sharp drops, sudden twists, and maybe even the occasional screaming passenger in the seat next to you. And now, finally, the ride is pulling into the station. The gates open, the lap bar lifts, and you are free to step out onto solid ground. October 2025 ushers in what I like to call your Year of Triumph 2025, a gateway that does not simply crack open for a moment but remains wide and welcoming for the next 2 decades. It is as though life has handed you a key to a house you never knew was yours, and inside you find rooms filled with stability, joy, and a sense of belonging that has often felt just beyond reach. From the perspective of psychology, this makes perfect sense. Periods of prolonged struggle often act as the training ground for resilience, and when that tension finally breaks, what follows is not just relief but a surge of strength and clarity. Buddhists would phrase it differently: suffering is the teacher that reveals the way. Either way, the lesson is the same: those years of hardship were not punishment, they were preparation. And here's the humorous twist, because let's be honest, even divine timing deserves a laugh. Imagine the universe as a stubborn gym coach who made you run endless laps in the rain for over a decade. You cursed, you cried, you considered quitting. And just when you thought you couldn't take another step, that coach now tosses you the keys to a spa, a cozy robe, and maybe even a winning lottery ticket. That, my dear Cancer, is October 2025. It is the cosmic wink that says, you made it through. Now it's time to thrive. Cancer, before we rush to pop the champagne or toss confetti in the air, let's take a step back and honor what brought you here. Transformation, as any seasoned student of the stars or the psyche will tell you, is rarely born in comfort. It grows out of friction, out of sweat and sleepless nights, out of those awkward, painful chapters that you'd probably rather skip over if your life were a book. The past 13 years for you have been exactly that, not a smooth highway but a grueling marathon up a mountain trail filled with potholes, unexpected storms, and, yes, the occasional bear waiting to swipe at your picnic basket. At times, life has felt less like a journey and more like a never-ending game of dodgeball. The trouble was, the universe wasn't tossing soft foam balls, it was hurling bricks. You ducked, you stumbled, you bruised, but you kept moving. In love, you were tested, asked to give when you felt empty, to trust when betrayal seemed easier to expect, to build intimacy even when it felt safer to retreat. In career, you were forced to confront both your ambitions and your doubts, to redefine success not just as climbing the ladder but as asking yourself whether that ladder was leaning against the right wall. And in self-belief, perhaps the hardest battlefield of all, you endured nights where your inner critic shouted louder than any cheerleader in your corner. Those mornings when you wondered if you had the strength to go on, those were not wasted moments. They were the training grounds for your soul. Psychologists have a term for this: post-traumatic growth. It's the paradox of becoming stronger not despite suffering, but because of it. Buddhist teachers say much the same in their own way, that suffering is the teacher sharpening the blade of awareness, refining the soul's capacity for compassion. As someone who has studied both the stars and the human condition, I would call it cosmic bootcamp. Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto, the stern professors of the Zodiac, were not tormenting you for fun. They were shaping you, chiseling away illusions, forcing you to build resilience in real time. They were carving you into one of the chosen ones, the souls who endure not only to survive, but to serve as guiding lights for others lost in their storms. And here's the paradox: while you may have cursed the universe during those trials, you also quietly grew into someone extraordinary. You learned patience in the waiting rooms of life. You discovered resilience in the rubble of broken plans. You found honesty when you were too tired to lie to yourself anymore. All of it prepared you for what is about to come next. So why October 2025? Because this is when the cosmic gears shift and the universe, finally, after 13 years of relentless training, gives you something resembling mercy. It is as though life itself steps forward and says, "All right, Cancer, you've carried the heavy bags long enough. Put them down. Walk free." This is the reset button you've been waiting for, and it doesn't just bring a weekend of peace or a lucky break at work. It lays the groundwork for the next 20 years of your life. Expect your emotional world to feel lighter, not in the shallow sense of distraction, but in the profound sense of true peace. Relationships that once felt like battlegrounds will soften into gardens. Conversations that used to end in stalemates will open into understanding. That emotional fog that left you second-guessing your instincts begins to clear, revealing horizons you couldn't see before. For the first time in a long time, you won't just be surviving your days, checking off to-do lists and hoping to avoid disaster. You'll actually be living them, present, awake, whole. And the kicker? This isn't temporary. It isn't a cosmic coupon that expires in a few months. October 2025 is the doorway into a 20-year cycle of peace, abundance, and emotional clarity. It is the beginning of a season where your struggles become wisdom, your scars become strength, and your story, at long last, begins to read like the epic it was always meant to be. Cancer, let's be honest for a moment, if any sign has earned the right to revel in emotional abundance, it's you. You are the moon's favorite child, the nurturer, the intuitive empathy who feels the world not at level 1 or 2 but at level 10, sometimes even 11 on the dial. For years, you've probably been told you're too sensitive, as if having a finely tuned emotional radar were a flaw. But here's the twist that October 2025 delivers: what people once misunderstood in you is about to become your greatest superpower. Sensitivity is no longer your weakness, it's your crown. This is the moment where your intuition sharpens like a blade, your emotional intelligence deepens, and suddenly you're navigating human connection like a seasoned traveler who doesn't even need a map. Imagine walking into a crowded room where most people are faking small talk about the weather, and instead of feeling lost, you sense authentic threads of connection, real heart-to-heart recognition. That's your new era. Friendships feel fuller, romantic bonds steady themselves, and family ties stop tugging at you like frayed ropes and begin to feel like a woven net of support. What makes this season different is that your love finally circles back. For once, you're not pouring into relationships that only drain you, you're surrounded by people who give back, who nourish you, who see you as more than the family therapist or the friend who always knows when to bring soup. Think of it as the universe putting you in an ecosystem where emotional exchange actually flows both ways. And then there's money, the subject that makes many Cancers squirm. For years it may have felt like you were working endlessly, planting seed after seed, but the ground was barren. You worked hard, but the payoff seemed delayed, almost cruelly withheld. That changes in October 2025, when the soil itself transforms. Suddenly, the seeds you planted start to sprout, and not in the timid way of a single green shoot poking through the dirt, but in a lush bloom that surprises you. Career opportunities appear where you didn't think to look. A new business idea may take off, or unexpected income streams open up like rivers. The financial drought is over. But here's the deeper truth, and it's something I want you to hear clearly: financial security is not about greed. It's about freedom. Too many Cancers secretly fear that wanting money makes them selfish, yet that's like saying wanting food makes you gluttonous. Money is the structure that allows your soul to breathe. It's the scaffolding that lets you focus on higher things: creativity, spirituality, relationships, without being chained to survival anxiety. Think of it this way: when your bills are paid and your table is full, you don't just rest easier, you love better. So, Cancer, October 2025 is not about choosing between emotional abundance and financial glow-up. It's about embracing both, realizing they are not opposites but allies. You're entering a cycle where your heart and your wallet finally learn how to dance together gracefully, joyfully, and without stepping on each other's toes. And if that's not good news, I don't know what is. Cancer, let's talk about renewal, the kind that doesn't just tweak the edges of your life but rewires you from the inside out. October 2025 isn't merely about your bank account finally cooperating or your heart finding its rhythm again. No, this is deeper. It's physical, spiritual, cellular, and cosmic all at once. Think of it as a wellness reset sent by the stars themselves. For years, you've dragged your body like it was a reluctant roommate, fatigue that never seemed to leave, headaches that arrived uninvited like in-laws at the holidays, and that bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of coffee could cure. But this new season is different. You'll begin to notice a shift, subtle at first: a little more energy in the mornings, a little more steadiness in your mood, a little more spring in your step. Suddenly, life stops feeling like something you have to crawl through and starts feeling like something you want to run toward. Picture a river after a storm. For a while it's muddy, clogged, chaotic, impossible to see through. Then, slowly, the sediment settles, the water clears, and the current flows freely again. That's your body in October 2025. Those stress hormones that have kept you locked in survival mode, the constant adrenaline, the cortisol surges, the restless nights finally begin to quiet down. They're replaced with confidence, drive, and, dare I say, joy. You're not just dragging yourself out of bed anymore, you're waking up curious, eager, maybe even humming before coffee. Imagine that, a Cancer who actually looks forward to Mondays. Miracles do happen. But let's not miss the bigger point here. Buddhism teaches that when the mind is calm, the body follows, and when the body is healthy, the spirit finds room to expand. Western psychology echoes the same truth. Mind, body, and spirit are not three separate files but one interwoven tapestry. October 2025 reminds you that healing is holistic. You cannot meditate your way to peace if your body is running on fumes, and you cannot fix your body if your heart is drowning in unresolved grief. The three are companions, and now, at last, they are learning to walk in step. Still, I'd be lying if I said this new chapter comes gift-wrapped with no effort required on your part. The universe is generous, yes, but it's not in the business of doing your laundry. For Cancer, there's one last assignment before this fresh era can fully unfold: you must let go. And I don't mean the Instagram version of letting go, where you post a quote about releasing negative vibes while secretly still stalking your ex's social media. I mean real letting go. Old grudges that have fermented like bad wine, unresolved conflicts that weigh on your heart like unpaid bills, toxic attachments that drain you, and even the outdated versions of yourself you've been carrying like expired membership cards. All of that has to go. Think of it like cleaning your closet. You cannot fill it with beautiful new clothes if you're still hoarding those jeans from high school that don't fit and never will. Ask yourself honestly, what emotional baggage am I still lugging around? What stories about myself am I repeating that no longer serve me? Maybe it's the story that you're not strong enough, not lovable enough, not ready enough. Maybe it's the story that your worth is tied to what you can give others, even if it leaves you empty. Whatever it is, October hands you the broom, but you are the one who must sweep. The universe can set the table, but you must sit down to the meal. And here's where things get exciting, because October is not only about peace, it's also about surprise. Don't expect this new chapter to be quiet and predictable, like reading a bedtime story. No, this month has the energy of a cosmic treasure hunt. The clues are hidden in ordinary moments, and the rewards are extraordinary. It could be a casual conversation with a stranger on the train who ends up changing the trajectory of your career. It could be a chance project at work that blossoms into a breakthrough. Or it might be that sudden realization about yourself that shifts the way you approach everything. The key is to stay open. Cancer, you have a tendency to retreat into your shell when life feels uncertain, but this is the moment to poke your head out and explore. The surprises aren't there to scare you, they're there to delight you. And make no mistake, this isn't random. This is the universe finally saying, you've done the work, you've endured the tests, now let me show you the magic. It's life whispering in your ear like a mischievous friend, hey, look over here. You're going to love this. So, as October 2025 dawns, remember this, your renewal is not only emotional and financial but physical and spiritual too. You're stronger, clearer, and lighter than you've been in years. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you create the space for the unexpected to enter. And when those surprises arrive, don't question whether you deserve them. You do. You've earned this new rhythm, this clear river, this treasure hunt of joy and opportunity. After 13 years of storms, the sun is finally breaking through, and for once, Cancer, it's shining just for you. Cancer, before we put a bow on this conversation, let's pause for a moment of levity. After all, you're famous for your depth, your emotional intuition, and your ability to sense a storm before anyone else even checks the radar. But here's the hidden truth, you also have one of the sharpest senses of humor in the zodiac, at least when you let yourself show it. People think of you as the sign of tears and tissues, but they forget that laughter is another way your soul processes the world. And October 2025, my friend, is a month where you'll be reminded that healing doesn't always come in solemn rituals, sometimes it arrives wrapped in irony, absurdity, and good old-fashioned comic relief. So let me paint a picture. Imagine the universe as that one outspoken aunt who, for years, never missed a chance to criticize your cooking at Thanksgiving or remind you that you still haven't settled down. Now picture her showing up at your front door with a piping hot casserole, a lottery ticket, and miracle of miracles, a heartfelt apology. That's October 2025 in a nutshell. You might laugh at the absurdity, you might shake your head at the timing, but I'll tell you this, you'll accept the casserole and you'll cash in that lottery ticket. Because why not? Sometimes blessings come in packages that make you chuckle first and cry later. And that's the beauty of this new chapter, Cancer. Life doesn't need to be so heavy anymore. Yes, you are wise beyond your years, the nurturer of the zodiac, the one who carries the emotional load of everyone around you. But you're also allowed to enjoy this next season of your life. Joy is not frivolous, it is medicine. Laughter is not avoidance, it is release. When you let yourself smile at the oddities of fate, you're not betraying your depth, you're proving you've learned the art of balance. So let's step back and look at the bigger picture. October 2025 isn't just a date circled on your calendar. It's the gateway to a 20-year cycle of emotional richness, financial security, physical vitality, and spiritual expansion. You've endured the fire, you've walked through the storm, and now you're standing at the edge of a flourishing garden. You are one of the chosen ones, not because life has spared you suffering, but precisely because you endured it and refused to be broken. The Year of Triumph 2025 is not just a slogan, it is your official invitation to claim your rightful role as both survivor and guide. Take a deep breath. Release the old grudges, the outdated fears, the stories that no longer define you. Step boldly into what the universe is offering. This isn't just about good luck, it's about claiming authorship of your own destiny. The cosmos is not handing you a script where you play the background character, it's giving you the leading role. And this time, Cancer, you get to write the ending, scene by scene, laugh line by laugh line. So here's my closing encouragement: break through the limits you've placed on yourself, stop waiting for permission to live fully, and embrace the blessings that are finally streaming your way. Enjoy the joy. Relish the peace. Trust the opportunities. And when surprises arrive dressed in humor, irony, or even casseroles, open the door wide. That is the wisdom for today, my dear Cancer listeners. If these words resonated with you, don't keep them to yourself, share them with your fellow moon children, hit that like button, and subscribe to Wisdom of Zodiac Signs. Remember, the stars may point the way, but it is your courage, your humor, and your choices that carve the path forward. October 2025 is not just the start of luck, it's the dawn of your own masterpiece.